Let's call the meeting to order. February 8th, 2023, 3 p.m. Regular session. So everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the January 11 meeting.
Okay. A motion on the floor from Jack. Second from Dan. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Okay, next thing on your packet is your bills.
So the very top line there, that 59 Power Sports for the sidewalk, that will be reimbursed by that grant. So that one we have to pay for before, and then we send them the receipt, and then they reimburse us. So I got that cleared to take it out of our REAP, and then we'll put the money right back in the REAP, so it stays with us.
It worked good?
We haven't gone and got it yet. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Yeah.
Unless you leave a fight or
Yes. I've seen a couple other ones around and they look like it's going to work great. So, and then if you go down to the Mill Creek Playground, kind of down a little ways, that was the one that we ordered last year that we hoped to get before July 1st. It was finally delivered now. So that was one of the carryovers, the large item carryover things from last year. Otherwise, I think everything is really self-explanatory, but if you have any questions. Answer them.
The diesel fuel, that was just put a talk of filling our barrel.
Yeah.
So I see number 1 on that, or are we running, how big is that barrel?
It's 250, 500.
500. It is mixed.
It's not straight number 1?
No.
I'm just saying that if it is straight number 1, that's very thin when you get into the summer. We will have trouble.
I think it's,
If we don't put that activity.
this one was 70/30.
Anybody else have any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bills for February 8th, 2023.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Dan? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Old business.
All right, we've got the Campos contracts. I emailed the 3 contracts out to you. And then open discussion on anything we want to adjust on those.
I guess the only question I have is, if I look at Mill Creek and I look at Dog Creek, very similar, with cabins to clean in there. And I know last year we had one price across all 3. I think we need to do something different with the cabin cleaning on them too. I don't know if you, Kathy, I think you and I talked about that.
Yeah, and just add different terms to that, except for the those two, if they're very similar, the other one does not do the cleaning of the cabin, so would we provide like an extra stipend for that, or how?
Well, so in the past, it's always been the same. I wouldn't have a problem bumping it a little bit per month at the other two parks, if that's what we want to do. We don't have a lot extra budgeted for it, but if we wanted to go, say, another $50 a month or something at Mill Creek and Dog Creek, I think that would be okay.
At Dog Creek, was that done last year by Bob and Vicky?
No, at Mill Creek, no.
Or, I'm sorry, at Mill Creek. But this year you're hoping to have a campground host that will do that.
Yeah, that's the intention, is to give a little bit more responsibility to the hosts.
I guess I personally would like to see just a little bit more into if they were asking them to do that. I don't know what that needs to be. Because otherwise, if they look at this, then, well, why am I doing that if I don't get paid? You know,
So,
then
okay,
It is,
let's-
it is supposed to be more of a volunteer position, and giving them free camping and everything. This is just an added benefit.
Why don't you clarify when they're expected to come in?
Yeah, so at Mill Creek, the intention is that they would do it on the weekends and as needed. So if we didn't have somebody available from staff, or if we had something come up, we'd have them fill in. At Dog Creek, it's usually just one cleaning a week anyway on those. So during the weekdays, while we've got seasonals there, it's not a problem at Mill Creek to have them do them. It's just on the weekends, it adds a few hours of staff time to go in and do that, along with the other things you get stopped to do while you're in the park.
So it's not a daily thing?
No, it wouldn't be an everyday thing at Mill Creek. And I could clarify that a little better too in this contract if we wanted to. But that was kind of my intention with that, is have it in the contract that it would be a requirement at times, basically, for Mill Creek. Not every single one, because it is a lot at Mill Creek with how often people come in.
Because it's each day, so that's why, that's why I took it as a daily task. So you're saying just making this first
No, number 5, Kathy.
Yeah, clean 2 6-person cabins, change 6-person
Oh, okay.
cabin lots, and assist all cabin renters with issues.
The other one is daily, this one is.
Yeah, the restroom cleaning is daily.
That's all the same. Does anybody else think on the board?
Now, we're gonna have them handling the money to help keep pressure off versus.
So I talked to the state auditor about that, and he said, no, we should not have them handling any money at all. And what my intention is, at Dog Creek anyway, is that we wouldn't even have the camp host taking the envelopes out of the registration tube anymore. One of us would swing through there several times a week to do that, and just take care of all the logging and everything there. At Dalma, it's small enough that the camp host can keep track of it pretty easy without having to grab all the envelopes and things. So she can log when people came in, and then we'll just grab the envelopes and compare and make sure it fits. So,
We're assuming these hosts are gonna be there 7 days a week.
so usually what I tell them is at least a minimum Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and then they have to clean before they would leave on Sunday. I don't want to require that they're there every single day, but 5 days a week is pretty much the standard. They have to at least clean 5 days a week.
So are you gonna have that in writing?
Yeah, as long as it should be something.
Yeah, I mean, I can add that here. Minimum.
I think that way, if something ever said is It's black and white.
Yeah.
in 5 days.
I mean, we're good with 7, but if you have a minimum requirement, put it out there in black and white, that way they know it up front.
Yeah, I hate to, when there's people that have other jobs and things, if they're, I don't want them to have to stay there every single night. But some people want a little bit of a break from the campground.
And they're good about notifying you if they've had something pop up on the weekend.
Yeah, the hosts that we've had have been good about that. We had a couple different times last year where they were gonna be gone for a week and had a trip planned or something. And we can work around that.
So, does the board have anything on that?
There's a little bit more for cleaning the cabin, just kind of versus that. Just an appreciation for you.
Yeah, and those 6-person cabins they're fairly minimal. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to clean one of those. So it's, I could see going, $50 a month more on those 2 parks, because there is a little more responsibility.
Some.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that was the other thing that I had here in my notes, was to set the rates. So if we want to go 525 at down one, 575 at the other 2.
Yes.
Okay, so what was that?
525 at down, which is what it's always been, or what it was last year. And then 575. Mill Creek and Bell-Times-Courier.
You're gonna, all 3 of them will have that line in there that you're gonna put in there about minimum nights and stuff.
Yeah, I'll just add that. I'll add that in. And then I'll add cleaning the cabins as needed.
That's gonna send us out a revised one of all 3 of them.
Okay.
Or put it on the website that we can get it. Anybody else have any further questions on that? So we need a motion to approve these then, do we need a motion for every part?
I think you can just do all 3 at once,
Okay.
with the few adjustments that you made.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2023 camp host agreements for Mill Creek, Dog Creek, and Downell Parks.
You get that motion?
I'll say.
Kathy, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
All right, so then, moving on to new business. First item we've got is approve the O'Brien County Community Foundation grant. I didn't put anything in the packet here for this. We just kind of started typing some stuff up for it. What we're looking at is at the old concession stand at the beach where the rental shack is now, kind of doing a facelift of that area. So the concrete that's around that building still has where the walls were for the old bathroom that was there. It's really uneven. So we're looking at removing that concrete, replacing it all the way around the building, doing a facelift to the building, just it's a historic building, so we don't want to change it too much, but we're basically looking at fixing the old windows that used to open up, making those look a little bit better, putting a roof on it that's better, and then adding a foot wash station for the beach. So just kind of a full upgrade of that area to make some improvements there. The foot wash station has been something that's been very well received by people as we brought it up, and I think it would help keep our restroom a lot cleaner as well. People are walking across and dragging in all kinds of sand into our showers, and this way they can at least clean from their knees down off before they go over there.
Refresh me, my memory here. Okay, so the inside of the building, is that what he's using for storage?
Yeah.
He uses the kayaks or
Yeah. And with this, we'd be putting in a little bigger door. We're looking at possibly a 4-foot wide roll-up door for there, or a 36-inch wide walk-in. Just to make it easier to get those canoes and kayaks in and out.
Are you talking about extending the roof?
Potentially, if we have enough money or enough available, if we don't go over budget on the rest of the stuff. We talked about either extending the roof line out towards the beach or putting in just a shade canopy over top of, in front of that building, just to give a little more shaded space for people to sit.
Not attached,
Not attached to the building, it would go in front, was my thought.
but extending it, then you'd be coming off the existing roof.
Yeah, if we extend it out, I need to get somebody that knows a little bit more about construction and tying into roof lines and things to come out and look at that. That's not really something I would be willing to do as just staff when we've got to tie into the building and extend it out and things. I'd rather have somebody that deals with it a lot more to do that. But that's still an option.
Is that roof 5-sided?
The roof is 4, I believe. The building itself is like 10-sided or something.
At least 8.
Yeah, it's almost round.
Do we have a straight flat to the north, to the pond or not?
I think so.
Yeah. It's kind of.
So it's got one peak with 4 sides, so it's got 4 different angles to it.
Because that's almost the way you're gonna have to go, whichever way one of the angles is.
Yeah. I think it does, I think the one flat side does go straight towards the beach. But
We can't really think about it, I go by it all the time, I don't remember what it looks
Like it's chiseled.
yeah, a little bit.
So what are you talking, run by this grant again? What,
Uh,
$20 and,
So the grant, I believe, is a maximum request of 10,000.
Not anymore.
It's not anymore?
They're encouraging 15.
Okay.
that's even better.
So that would be our maximum request for the grant, and then whatever we decide to match or anything else we can get to go with it. But the foot wash station, the one that I'm looking at is about $1,500. And then the concrete, I'm guessing around 4,000 for the concrete. And then I think we've got 7. And then I think we've got 7,000 in building materials and things as well, is what our quick add up was. So.
And if this would all go through, what's your approximate timeframe?
We'd probably be looking at potentially late summer, fall to get to work on it done. We could maybe start a little earlier, but it kind of depends on weather and what other stuff we have going on as well.
Almost gotta get through your harvest season first.
Yeah. And we'll have more than, I mean, our intention is to have a contractor do the concrete around there because it's going to be a little bit of a technical pour going up to that building all the way around the whole thing. If we were going to do it, we'd have to do it in several pours, and it's not going to come out as good. So
So you think 4,000 would take care of?
it's an estimate. I haven't talked to any contractors yet. We may be significantly more than that.
I was gonna say that's a pretty low number anymore today.
The grant's not due until April 15th, so we have time yet to get those bids.
Even if we get the $15,000 grant, we can go other directions to add to that.
Yeah, we would put together the whole plan,
Right.
and yeah, we could add more money to it if we needed to. It's out of our budget or out of other options for funding.
So what do you need us to do now? Make a motion to approve it? or-
Just approve applying, that's all we're really looking for, is approve applying for the grant for that project.
I'll make that motion to approve the application for the Orion County Community Foundation grant. You want me to state for the purpose?
I don't think it's different.
Okay. We have a second?
Go ahead.
Dan? Any further comments? All in favor, say aye.
Right.
Pose same sign, motion carried. Number 2.
All right, so then we've got another grant and a ARPA request that we're looking at here for Josem Park. This is basically a full infrastructure, redoing all of it. So new electric into the park, new water, new septic system, everything new coming in. There'll be Osceola rural water tied into the park. We'd have Mid-American upgrade the primary coming into the park. Right now, we've only got 200 amp service to run the whole park, and we've only got 30 amp plugs at the campsites, and all the new campers need 50. So then I found this Wellmark grant that's a matching grant that has to do with basically anything to get people active or healthy. So with the Wellmark grant, I thought if we added a playground and tied in the trail that we're planning to put around that park into it, the total for having a contractor come in, put in the septic tank, the sewer line, the water line, the electric, and then us doing we would add 4 campsites, so we'd make it 10 campsites total. Us doing the concrete, Osceola rural water, running a line all the way from the highway into the park, and then us building a restroom, which I'm looking at just a small 2-stall restroom, and then a playground. The total for everything comes up to $162,000. And what my intention is to ask for $100,000 from ARPA and then 62 from Walmart.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
So does the bathroom have showers in it or not?
Yes.
Okay. And are we running well water there now?
We are on Walmart.
Are we running well water at Dog Creek?
No.
Rural there?
Yeah.
Rural at Mill Creek also?
Mill Creek is city.
Or city?
And that well has tested high in nitrates several times. So I've looked back in old notes and I've found that for several years they've discussed getting Osceola rural water run into that park. And I think for a long time it was kind of cost prohibitive, but they've reduced their cost to run the line in. It used to be $35,000 per mile just to run it down the road, and now it's $12,000. So
That's why I have a history of water testing and.
yeah, we had it tested this year and it tested okay, but the sanitarian said that it's been regular that it's tested high in nitrates.
Now, can you take, since we're not using that well, can you set up, for instance, a solar pump and you pump it into, so at least have water in place? Because right now,
You're talking in the pond?
yeah,
With those pits, they're usually run by groundwater, so you'd have to have a lot to bring that up. Because generally it's water seeping through the sand and things that brings the level up and down. But I guess it's something we could look into. I'm still hoping to get that pit cleaned out at some point.
Right now, there's not a, you can't, you can wade in it, I guess, you can't swim in it. You're just,
Yeah, and it's
No
not
fish,
deep enough.
no
for
fish in it, so it's kind of a, you have water there, but yet there's nothing to do
Yeah,
with it.
it's good for ducks, that's about it right now. But yeah, my intention is still to, in the future, look at grant funding options to clean that pit out and get it deeper. Because that's the big thing we need is just some depth there with a little more structure and maybe a jetty or two. But for this one, it's more just the infrastructure and a full upgrade to the park. So with this whole project, we're also planning to put in basically a 3/4 mile loop trail around the park, which would connect it into, very close to being connected to the Sneakers Run trail that comes out of Primgar. So it's only just over a 1/4 mile walk down the gravel to get into the park over the bridge.
Are they talking about, Steve and Carol talking about looking at the trail?
Yeah, we've discussed it a little
She's
bit.
in, she's in.
Yeah.
Do we have more than one bid on that stuff up there?
I've got 2 right now, and there's one other guy that's told me he's gonna give me one.
Are we close?
Yeah, the 2 that I got were within $3,000 of each other. That's close.
So basically the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines is what the contractor's doing? We're doing the concrete?
We would do the concrete and the restroom and the playground and the trees. Everything else would be contractors.
Concrete, restroom, those 3 things. And the trees.
And the trees.
Who's doing the trail around outside?
Well, that would be us too, but that's just gonna be basically a road path. We won't have to do, there's 2 spots that we'll have to do a little bit of dirt work, but it's minimal. With that schedule, it'll only take us about an hour.
Well, it's a lot of dollars on playground equipment for 10 sites there.
So what the hope is that we can get people walking from town on the trail or riding bikes out from town, and they can come out there as a destination point.
Great.
That's kind of the hope, to have the restroom there and the playground there, to get more people using that trail, more people being active. That's what I've been trying to tie into this Walmart grant a little more, is it's a destination point at the end of this trail, and could be a halfway point if they get the trail extended to where they want to. So,
Okay. So what do you need from us, a motion to?
just a motion to apply for the ARPA funding and the Walmart grant.
Okay, before we go with that, what, if we do this and go through this, are we looking at this year, next year?
It wouldn't be early this year for sure. The contractors that I've talked to they've all said that they're busy in the spring. So at the earliest it would be fall, probably spring the following year. we would be doing the work. My hope is that we would have everything back open for the camping season the year after this coming year. Everything done. And then with that, our intention is to put, to begin with, anyway, my thought was to have 5 of those campsites be long-term reservable, 5 of the 10. And then we'd see how it goes. If we decide we want to go less or more in the future, we can. But I think there's potential to basically take it from $1,500 revenue campground to $15,000. I think think there's potential to have significantly increased revenue. Because the main holdup now is the electric service.
So I'd like a motion to approve the Walmart grant and the ARPA request for the Jacinth Park.
I will approve the Walnut grant and request for Jacinth Park.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, number 3.
All right, so we've got one position open right now. It's our conservation tech position. We've had a lot of conversation with staff. We would like to see that position switch to a ranger position. There's several reasons we'd like to make that switch. First, it would take a lot of pressure off Mark and I working every other weekend at reduced comp time. And I think switching to a ranger position would help promote bringing somebody in that has more conservation experience, which I think is the most important piece. Hiring somebody as a tech, I think it would be tough to get somebody that has a background in conservation or schooling in conservation, which in this field, it's pretty important to have the passion, and if somebody doesn't go through the steps to get the schooling and the work history, it's tough to find somebody with that passion.
Mark, when you come from Cherokee County, what was the title of your position?
Natural resource manager.
And what did you all do?
Well, my focus was on conservation work, specifically regarding our natural areas. And I assisted with a lot of the park maintenance as well. We were a very small staff down there.
What do you call it? Natural resource what?
Natural resource management.
Is there any way, Travis, that we could start with something like that and moving forward to, are we able to find somebody like that and consider like we did with Mark, understanding when we hired Mark, we were going for the park ranger. I mean, that's where we were going, but is there any way to start with somebody with experience like that and move forward to that direction?
So we could, it's going to be tough to bring somebody in that has experience to come into basically an entry level, or what we would consider more of an entry level position. We'd probably be hiring somebody straight out of college or somebody young that's looking at us as more of a stepping stone.
I think we need more somebody that knows plumbing, electric, maintenance of the parks. Right now, what our tech do, mow, maintain the parks. That's more important than anything at this time, to maintain the parks.
Yeah, and that's still the job of a ranger, is the maintenance is still part of that position. And a part of my position and Mark's position and everybody else.
I was going to say, I was doing a little searching around online in terms of, our nearby counties and who's employed, who's not employed, who they are, and entertaining to have on staff. And it was interesting because I'm finding some are park ranger / technicians, and some are conservation minded or graduate with degrees but not law enforcement. So I'm looking at trying to find the comparable counties that have about the same size of acres and things that we have in Edmonton. And I'm finding that, or I did find that with several that, I know two of them are, the directors are park rangers, but then they have just like one of the ranger on staff. So then it's like, all right, so then I'm looking at campgrounds again in terms of, you know, how many campsites do they have? And it's sometimes a little bit harder to find that information. So that's why I'm thinking as far as your needs, when you're talking about needs that you have, you're talking about your comp time or, you know, weekends and things. So Rick's talking about skills for plumbing and whatever else kind of thing. So I'm trying to wrap my head around need-wise, what do we actually need? Because I'm looking at, you know, the training that is listed on this paper. And I'm thinking, are these actually the needs that we do need? Or it's a combination probably of both, I guess. I hear you, you know, you're talking about passion.
And the other piece of the law enforcement training is, it's a lot more about public safety, being prepared for a lot of different things that could happen. I mean, the amount of times in campgrounds that I've come across domestic abuse situations or things like that just pop up in front of you, and you're there and you've got to take care of it or you've got to handle it. It's been a lot of different times in my career that I've seen things like that, or had somebody with drugs in the park, or somebody that's drunk and disorderly, and you have to handle those situations as they pop up. And a big piece of the law enforcement training is learning the de-escalation and the self-defense side of it, as well as learning how to spot the details, the little things that most people would overlook. So that's a big piece of the law enforcement training.
Yeah, and I see that on these, that are listed here, exactly.
And that was
specific to.
that list that we threw together today is just basically the training that you get at the academy.
Which was very nice, thank you for doing that. Yeah, I'm struggling, I guess, you know, with needs, our needs that we have here and the size of county that we are. The residents of, we have like a population of Grand County, 14,000, 15,000. We manage 945 acres or so around.
Well, we have around 100 campsites and probably one of the busiest parks in the state. When we talk about per acre, the amount of people in that park on a weekend is phenomenal.
Some weekends,
It's almost every weekend last year, and we would have very regularly people in there, and there could be 500 people just using the park that aren't in the campground. And that gets to be a lot to take in and handle.
So the need is between basically, camping season starts, the end of camping season, which would be the most needed time for this law enforcement.
Yeah, that's the majority of the need for the law enforcement. There is some hunting season stuff. I got several calls this year for people with complaints on hunters in different areas. And for somebody to respond to that, it has to be somebody law enforcement, because you're walking up to somebody with a gun and telling them they're doing something wrong.
Well, does DNR take care of that?
They will, but they're very busy. And it's most of the time when you call them on something, if it's on our properties, they're not gonna be here for 2 days.
Terry and Andy always help every
Assistant.
Yeah. I did a little bit of patrolling during deer season, pheasant season last year. This year I just came out and checked our main areas, just to basically clean up litter and make sure nobody was moving crazy. Last year I checked all of our areas during shotgun season especially.
And I think the warden in charge here has half of Clay County too.
Yeah, they're spread
So
pretty
they're
thin.
really spread thin.
They're not that many out
They're covering, most of them are covering county, a full county or a county and a half.
That's all the county and half.
Well, my point is, I don't remember.
I don't either.
I don't think we need it. I prefer to have somebody in here that can fix and take care of that in the park. If there's an issue, they call you, you're the in charge. They're driving through a park and there's an issue, call you or call the sheriff's department. We have them working on the weekends, and next thing you know, they'll be, well, we're gonna have comp time, because he's got to work the weekend, now we can't get the park mowed, we can't get this clean, we can't get this. Then we're back in the same boat. I tell them, you know, work 5 days, get the park where they need to be all the time.
We would be rotating, so there'd always be that, the ranger working all week and the weekend.
But every weekend, it's gonna be, no, we're gonna do this, that's his job. Fix this, fix that. That's it, my, you know.
I think if you get somebody good at maintenance, and he's good, we can train him and move him up to a ranger down the road. First, we gotta find that person to maintain our parks. And if he's a good man, we're gonna work with him to move him up.
I think you'll have better applicants if it was offered up front though.
That's what I'm seeing.
That's,
Not maybe down the road, we're not gonna go.
that's the goal, or that's my thought, is getting the better applicants is gonna be tough as a entry-level tech position.
So do we have to be at entry-level tech position? Can we bring that up a little bit? Can we go for certified electrical experience or
Licensed
certified?
electrician or plumber.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow, I don't know any who would give up their job to do
Anybody
this
can give it
though.
up.
yeah, I mean, you're looking at a licensed plumber or electrician's probably making $120,000 a year, so it's gonna be tough to talk them into coming into a
They should
conservation.
have
position.
skills enough to,
Well, and that would be the requirement no matter what.
yeah.
I mean, that is a big piece of our
That's
job.
what needs to be done, is
Is-
stuff needs to be fixed at that time.
I guess from my point of view, not like going through the conservation and natural resource steps to get into this position, it's a lot easier to learn the maintenance stuff, hands-on, via, just doing it, than learning the natural resource part of it, than obviously learning the law enforcement part of it. And so that's where we would like to hire, like we have a specific, not a specific individual, but a specific type of individual we'd like to hire. And these skills that you're talking about plumbing, electrical, HVAC, that kind of things, there are certain aspects of that that we won't do because, that's beyond our scope. But we're probably going to be contracting that anyways to somebody licensed. So it's a lot easier to hire somebody with that natural resource background, that has that passion, to be in the park every day, to be on the international areas every day, encouraging the public recreation of our parks and waters. I think then hiring somebody with a maintenance background and then being like, oh, also, by the way, you need to start caring about this plant. Or you need to learn these trees and know why, the physiology of this tree and what type of seeds produce, what animals it helps and things like that. That's a schooling that you have to go through, really, where you spend a lot of time off the clock or just on your own learning that. And if they don't have that passion coming into it, that's not gonna happen. You can learn to DIY stuff on your own at home, which is how I learned a lot of things. And then working with people that I have, I've learned a lot as well over the years. And, I'm comfortable knowing what I know as far as the maintenance part of it. I can do a lot. But I wouldn't, I guess that is in the gist of why we want to hire a natural resource park ranger instead of a maintenance person, just due to the philosophy behind, who they are as an individual.
A park ranger's not gonna be one running a lawnmower and pick up sticks, he's gonna work his way up and go move on.
I run a lawnmower and pick up sticks. I weed eat.
If you like running a lawnmower, but I mean, you're into the part of a ranger, if something comes up down the road that you can step up and be in a position. Like Travis says, you're gonna move on. I can see that already.
I'm not here to talk about me,
That's what's gonna happen. We still don't.
That's your opinion, but, okay, but so that's the thing, is like, I do all these maintenance tasks, like, and I take on some of these more menial tasks because the seasonals get tired of weeding all the time. So, I mean, you know, there's, that, we want somebody who's willing to do all that.
I think it's good that you do some of the bad tasks too, because it shows that the boss is going to do them also.
That you
That's
can do
good.
it. It is.
Yeah, I mean, if they come and like, the bathroom's destroyed, I'm like, well, I get paid more than you, like, I'll do it. You know, that's just how it is. And having another person that's at that level, or near that level, is, you know, hugely beneficial to us.
Well, and, you know, I go back to my trustee of the board book,
Yeah.
and, you know, and I said, you know, our responsibilities are to, you know, promote the health and welfare of the local people through an organized program of public recreation. Okay, so then it goes on, and, you know, talks about making decisions, and, but it also is for the public and their welfare in terms of providing them. So, I hear what you're saying, and I'm kind of trying to decide which is the way, because I'm thinking we need those people that also value our resources. We also, you know, have that knowledge behind it too. So that's what I'm thinking too, is like, the perfect candidate will have conservation background, biology background, and skills, and, you know, and so how do you advertise it as that will, you know, attract that kind of person? And without having saying, okay, well, law enforcement's going to not necessarily be upfront, but you're saying that that's more important. That's the candidates that we want.
Yeah, to a lot of people in conservation that are trying to work their way up, they're looking for that ranger step to move into a ranger position. Or if they're working as a conservation tech somewhere and they have some experience in the field, they're looking to move into a ranger position or whatever their next step is in their career. I mean, some people don't want to be law enforcement, but usually they're looking for a higher paying position somewhere, an operations supervisor position or something along those lines.
So here in
Open it
Iowa,
up as that, operations supervisor.
You got an operations supervisor.
And a
That's
park
our
ranger.
position.
We technically do not have a park ranger, right?
Yeah, Mark was promoted to operations supervisor.
So which one's
last year.
higher?
Operations supervisor is higher than park ranger. That's overseeing all of the operations in the parks. Is the operations supervisor.
You guys have questions out there?
I have a question, if it's okay to ask. So Travis and Greg, in the last 12 months, how many tickets have you written out to people in the county for violations?
We don't write a lot of citations.
Okay. Well, and what Greg said, and I get this de-escalation is an important thing, very important. But you don't have to have a gun to de-escalate a situation. And if you want to have weekends off, get other people to come in, I get that. I'm not saying you don't deserve weekends off, but I'm with Greg. We need the money you're spending for outside contractors. We need people who can plumb and build and work, and then having an extra guy to de-escalate on the weekends is fine. But I think we got county sheriffs in the county. We got, if an accident happened, if somebody had a wreck out here, they call 911. And the parks are part of the county. The county sheriffs have to have some responsibility for this too. But anyway, the number of citations is not under 10 then, I assume.
Yeah, we don't write a lot.
Okay.
That's
fine. But just because I understand there can be a situation that still is dangerous without writing a ticket, I understand that. But the escalation is important, it is. But again, I don't know if you have to be a ranger to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's also the medical training that we get as law enforcement, the accident scene. There's a lot of different types of training that you get at the academy that help people become more professional. That's a big piece of it, is when you go through that list that I handed out, there's a lot there. And there's a lot of good skills that are learned at the academy, besides just the law enforcement side of things. I mean, it's learning how to interpret laws, it's learning how to write reports. There's a full week of just medical training there on how to handle a medical call and how to assist EMTs when they show up, which is something that happens several times a year, where we have somebody that collapses in the park, either passes out or whatever, and we're the first ones to respond.
Is it possible to advertise it as technician or whatever, and with the theory that we would like to
That's really, if you're
Yeah.
really to.
I mean, how do you
I've seen it
advertise
done
it to get
before.
good quality people?
I've seen it done before where people advertise it as a tech position with potential to move into law enforcement.
Can we advertise it that way, and can we also advertise a technician with good knowledge in electrical, plumbing, and that kind of stuff, and just see what comes out of it
Yeah,
on both sides of it, and then, I don't know, I don't have a real answer to it, but I don't want to say no to something completely, because I think as we grow, we can grow into anything. And the right person has definitely got potential.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, the right person has the potential, and then we know he has the potential. Let's do everything we can to move him up.
well, and so the way it works when you hire a ranger, like, so if we hired a ranger that came on in the spring, they wouldn't go through the academy until January. The following year. They would work under us for the whole summer. So they would have their whole probationary period before they go to the academy.
But you have a possibility of hiring a ranger that's already got it.
And that would be huge. If you can hire somebody as a ranger that's already certified and has experience in the field, that's very important. I mean, that's a huge savings,
How much is it to send somebody to the academy?
about $8,000.
Is that budgeted in for next year, or for the 24th fiscal?
Yeah, we'd have to do a little maneuvering, but I think we could do it.
What?
We'd have to do a little bit of maneuvering in our budget, but I think we can make it fit.
How much
I'm
more,
gonna be, I'm sorry,
okay, so we go with the ranger, but how much more money is it gonna cost us per year to pay this person versus the tech?
I would think around $5,000 a year. And
Just $5,000 from 38 to 40? You could get a ranger in here for 45,000?
There's a lot of counties that are paying 45.
Why are we paying this much then? We're way overpaying.
We started at 49.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's not 45, it's 49, now it's $10,000 difference already. So pretty soon our budget's way out of whack, and we're gonna be sitting here, we're way short of money again. We just went through that. We gotta work our way into this instead of diving into it.
So what would you be looking at as hiring a tech position?
Well, where was the last one left off at, around 40,000. That's where we're probably gonna start out. Unless that person has does have a lot of knowledge of plumbing, I think that helps us out, is worth a little bit more to us.
I think on both sides, you gotta keep it open to who the qualified candidate is. You can't put a price on it until you know what you're hiring, whether it's a tech or a ranger. Because if you're buying a ranger, I'm not saying buying, if you're hiring a ranger that already has all the ranger stuff, it's a value to the county also. So you can't value that at your starting whatever we're putting out there. I'm not so sure I'd put a price on any of it myself. I would want to pool it out there. And it's not going to be an easy job, but it's going to be a job that all of us have to work with and say, okay, this guy's got a lot of qualifications. He really fits into what we really need. And it's a fit. And whether you're paying for that ranger right now or paying for it later, I personally am not, with the world it is today on hiring people, I don't think you ought to put a price on anything. I think you ought to put it out there. You're willing to speak with anybody. That's to me the way the world is today. The pool is, regardless, I don't know. But I think if you're gonna hire a good technician, you're not gonna hire a good technician for $45 an hour or a year either. Granted, there's a lot of benefits above there, but
I would at least like to see a range, and I like to keep the range pretty wide, so people at least know what they're applying for a little bit. Like if it, say it's a range of 38 to 50,000, at least they know, have an idea what they're applying for.
Most people have something that they're supposed to.
That's one of the first things that people look for when they're looking at the position. But I'm always for keeping that range big, because you could have somebody, you could be forced to hire somebody entry level that has no experience, you're gonna start them off lower. Or if you're gonna go hire somebody that has more experience, you're still within your range. And then there's always the option of going a little above that range if you have to get somebody hired, but.
If they qualify, yeah, I agree. I think if it's, I don't know how to say, but if it's up to me, I think you advertise both positions and you put a range in there and it's a big range. And
So you
it's
want-
based
you
completely
want
on
those two
qualifications.
positions?
What's that?
You want those two positions?
And then sit down and look at it, see who's,
So-
maybe it will be one on the Ranger side versus the other side.
So the other side of it, with conservation being statewide and everybody knows everything about everything that's going on, if we post two positions, they're gonna go, two more people gone, and nobody's gonna.
You're only hiring one position.
Yeah, he's saying it's gonna be
Yeah.
like that.
It's gonna look like two positions.
And I will say, in this very room, you talk about de-escalation. It's all about culture. I came to a meeting in September of 2020 at an invitation and ended up with rangers at every door, their bulletproof vests, standing there in opposition. Now, that's an intimidating thing. And so I think it's all about culture. If you got somebody who's interested in a tree, who doesn't want to carry a gun, maybe it would be more attractive to them to be part of that instead of have to carry a gun and be a law enforcement. It's all about the personality. And like you say, the passion. But I've seen the other side in this very room. You talk about everybody in the state knows about what happens. Is that something they would like to know about?
I'd also like to point out that all those people are gone and the culture's changed.
Yeah, I would hope so. And that's so thrilling to me, because I had no idea that culture was there until they tried to, whatever it was.
A lot of things went on for you that we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know. So I appreciate a board that pays attention and a new culture. I mean, I like Mark from the first time I saw him in Cherokee County. I'm like, this guy's awesome. You know, really good culture. But when you say you're trained in de-escalation, okay, maybe that's true, but it still goes back to the personality. And, you know, that's my opinion. It goes back to the personality of the person.
It's big into who you hire and hiring somebody that will fit the culture.
100%.
That's
Whatever
my-
that culture is.
That's my biggest thing, looking at who we're hiring. And when we were hiring the ranger and the office manager position, that's my main focus, is hiring somebody that their personality fits the culture that we're trying to promote. And we can always train different tasks into them, but
I agree with that.
that's been
I agree with
that's
that.
been my main focus.
Yeah, I'm just bringing another perspective to that. And it is the person that you're hiring that's the most important. And you hire passion. I think then you wait till you get somebody with passion, my opinion.
It made me put them on for like a month trial, because they can interview great and turn out not being on the interview. Just a thought, you know.
It's pretty hard to do, but yeah.
I mean, everybody's hired on a probationary period. That's,
And nobody can de-escalate every situation. It's impossible. Nobody's that good.
but learning those early cues in a situation that start escalating, and learning how to recognize those and start your de-escalation from that point
So
instead
how
of
many
letting it
times
build
would
into
you
something.
say that you've used those skills in the last summer?
Last summer, probably 5 or 6 times that I used. I use those skills directly as far as de-escalating a situation and stopping it from turning into something more than it could have.
And along that same lines, you don't write a lot of tickets. Did you ever remove anyone from the campground or arrest anyone? And how many
We've had a
times?
few people that were removed from the campground.
What?
We've had a few people that were removed from the campground. And since I've been here, probably 5 that were told that they had to leave and couldn't come back, or had to leave for the weekend. It's not an overly common occurrence, but it's things that happen.
You know, everything Denise said, that's what the community, their feeling is. They hate guns after what all happened. Everybody is down on it. That's all I hear. We don't need any gunslingers. That's what the comments are.
I'll bet there's very few campers at that campground on a weekend that doesn't have a gun in it.
I can
bet
admit
it's
that.
surprising.
There's a lot of people that do have guns. I agree with
Darn
that.
right there is.
And there's a place for a gun. I agree with that.
And these
And we would never hire a gunslinger. We would never hire somebody that's come down to,
Well, the
that's
2
part
people
of
here
it.
did.
And you can't detain anybody if you don't have law enforcement.
No.
I mean, you could challenge somebody at 1 in the morning, and the deputy's in Sheldon, and there's only one on duty at night, which happens a lot. You gotta wait 40 minutes for him to drive over, but you can't hold him. But if you're injured, you can.
Yeah.
You could cuff him.
But you can write down his license number and wherever, whoever is, will find it, they'll get it.
But it
Yeah, that
depends what the
works.
situation is.
What's
I
that?
mean, it depends what the situation is,
Yeah.
whether that'll work or not. I mean, it could be a situation where somebody gets drunk and walks in their camper and gets their gun and comes out. And then if you don't have somebody with law enforcement, what do you do?
To me, the question is 10 times of using law enforcement over the course of the summer require an additional ranger? That's what I'm getting out of the discussion.
So you can say 10 times that it was used, but really you are, as a certified officer, you're on duty 100% of the time. So you're always watching for things, you're always paying attention to details, you're always prepared for those issues that could pop up at any time. That's a big
But
part of our
you guys
training,
have
is being
handled it
prepared.
marvelously so far.
Yeah. But I'm just saying it would be better with another. That's,
Could the position be advertised as an either or, not as a 2, but as an either or type of thing like that, or not?
I mean, we could probably put something in there as law enforcement option, and keep it open as that bigger pay range.
I think you need to put it in there as park ranger. And whatever the definition of park ranger is, it is. Whoever you get for candidates, whether they have it, I like this natural resource manager.
It is.
I mean, I'm willing to open that up to that experience in any way, shape, or form in that area, but I also want to put in as a technician, and I'm looking for that guy that has my mechanic, and my carpenter, and my plumbing and electrical. Throw it out there, just see what comes in on it, and then weigh it out.
The more money you can save, not how the contractors are better.
I know where you guys are coming from, and I'm not denying it at all, the experience on, because you guys know stuff on that side that blows my mind, and I love it. I get that. But advertise, we'll see what we got, and I'm with you, Captain. We're looking at this or this. Throw it up, you might be shocked at what you come back in.
Tom, how many applicants did you receive when you were advertising in 2020,
Over and
2021?
A lot.
How many? Was it 100?
Was that for a ranger?
Yeah.
Well, so,
But they were,
For the-
were we
If I
married?
if I remember right, there was close to 150 for the ranger position.
I don't honestly.
There was a lot.
there were a lot of them were online.
But there was also a lot of people walking into this building trying to get a ranger job.
Yeah. I don't think we want to jump. If somebody out there said, take your time and make sure you.
Yes,
we-
like the right
we be very-
person.
We have the time to do this. I would love to see today that we get something established of what we'd like to do and not table it. Because we're at the time of year where we need to be pushing this out there and giving us time to really analyze it and look at it, and I think it's open on the top of the table right now, but I think we need to make sure we advertise both sides of it and then see how we come out of it. And I don't think you're gonna know anything. I don't think you should put a price difference between any of them. Put it 40 to 55,000.
So if we advertise it as a conservation technician ranger,
Natural resource manager, all
Exactly.
that stuff. I mean, I look at the skills, Mark, I'm sorry, but the skills that you have and what you come out of that and the knowledge, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were called over there. I just,
Nearby counties I have a ranger/technician also, correct?
yeah,
So
there's a huge variety across the state. There's even some counties that have technicians or natural resource managers that are certified. So,
I don't know that we're looking for the entry level coming in here on either side. I'm not saying we have it in our budget to do that,
yeah, it's,
but at this point, I would go to argue with all 5 supervisors, this is what we feel is the best, the board feels, can you help us make this happen?
The skill set that the person has, the more money you can save by not hiring general contractors, that can pay for itself if you get the right guy.
yeah. And we
I think it's on both
are pretty
sides.
minimal with how many contractors we hire. It's only when we absolutely have to for technical things. Like I've brought in somebody for HVAC stuff if they've got to get into something and test things. Obviously none of us have that skill set where we know details of what different things to test. And then if we look into like contractors for technical concrete pours, we'll bring somebody in. For basic concrete work, we're gonna do it ourselves.
We've all been in a position where we've done stuff that after we've done, is that we shouldn't have done that because it cost us more to do it this way than we'd have just hired them.
Yeah, and there's a big piece of having the skill set, but knowing your limits of that skill set as well. So that's something we've worked towards.
And when it comes to electrical work, it's more for liability purposes as well.
It's
You want to license an electrician to,
And that's what I'm saying, I wouldn't mind seeing this in there as, I mean, if we're gonna go there, you might get an older guy that wants to slow down and take it to the end with certifications in these areas that you could hire. I don't know.
You're a snowbird. I have 6 months a year.
Just throw it out there. We have nothing to lose by throwing it out there. The biggest thing is how we're going to label it and make sure we're very clear in what we want. And it would be, we're looking for this or this. We're not looking for both.
Would a natural resources manager and this is a Mark question, would the skills for that person also work with the skills for the naturalist position that's vacant right now?
I mean, it would help, but
yeah,
Can that be a combined position? No.
not really a combined position because the naturalist position there's a lot there. That's basically a full-time position in itself. I mean, there's not much room for other things, but there's a lot of crossover.
I would say there's a lot of crossover in the knowledge, but in the skills in transferring that and educating people versus natural areas management work are 2 vastly different skill sets.
Yeah.
But the knowledge is similar, but the skill sets and how you're delivering that knowledge is different.
And that's a big part of our goal is having everybody at least somewhat cross-trained. So, I mean, Mark is regularly helping out with programs. Sarah's regularly helping out with programs, especially right now since we don't have a naturalist.
But you don't have any natural student herbicide application.
Yeah, and naturalists can jump into the field and help out here and there, but it's gonna be pretty rare that they're gonna come out and help with a controlled burn or help with cutting trees and things like that. You're not gonna find very many that are trained in education and want to do that side of the work. But if we can have somebody cross-trained, that's best case scenario, somebody that has a little bit of skill set and everything. That's always the goal.
So at this point, I think we hear that we're not interested too much in the law enforcement side, but we're willing to put it out there and see what we come up with for applicants, and then we deal with it from that point, whether we're going to do it or not. Is that what I'm hearing? But I would also like to see it advertised as a tech position, looking for higher quality on that side too. And I wouldn't have be opposed to with natural resource background. I don't know that you'll get anything like that, but throw it out there. I mean, obviously that's what we're looking for.
Well, we can say that we require a 2-year degree in conservation, that helps a lot. A 2-year degree or equal years experience. So if you have 2 years experience working in conservation or a 2-year degree or more.
And then you're going to get that knowledge base.
Yeah, you at least get some of the knowledge that comes with the school. A couple of years experience is a lot more important than a couple of years of school usually.
You can throw out a person.
Email out to the board members of what we're going to put out there for an ad before we put it out there. We greatly appreciate that. Okay. So we know what we're looking for, and if we don't like how it reads, we can adjust that a little bit.
Yeah, I'll put it in as a conservation type ranger then. And, advertise it as,
What do you think we ought to do the money at?
I think we leave it a wide range. It doesn't hurt us any by advertising a higher range if we're gonna offer based on skill set.
I think it's got to be completely based on skill set.
So I don't have any issue going 40 to 50.
You got to know that more than me.
And I think we probably plan on hiring somebody in that 44, 45 range.
Unless we see good skills.
Unless they're straight out of college and that's the only option we have, then
I still think we got to base it on skills.
but putting in that bigger range, we have the potential to bring in somebody that has a little bit of experience in the field. So is everybody all right with that 40 to 50 then?
Do we need a motion there? And if we do, how do you want to do it?
I think we should have a motion to open the position for hire. With the range of 40 to 50.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the open position for hire as technician / park ranger based on skills. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that'll work.
So moved.
Jack has moved it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Kathy has seconded. Any further discussion?
Tom, can you give me that wording one more time? Open a position for hire for a contact ranger.
Yep. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. So it is a motion to approve an open position for hire for skilled technician, is I guess whatever, / park ranger. Did I say anything?
Are you including a hiring range?
40 to 50,000.
Based on skills. Do you have anything else? move on to number 4 then.
Cabin and bin rental policy. This has a lot to do with moving everything online. We had to update a lot of policies that way. So I emailed this out. We looked at a lot of different counties' policies and compared them to ours, and that's how we came up with what we've got here. Cancellation policy is a big piece of that. You look about halfway down your page. Should you choose to cancel a reservation, you will forfeit 100% of all fees paid. You may call the board of office no less than 14 days before your reservation and request a date change one time within the same, with the new reservation in the same calendar year. That's a big piece of what we had to have, and then the refund policy has to be pretty specific for online stuff.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Was there a reason behind changing that essentially?
So the main reason is it's probably our biggest complaint on the phone when people call. And it's something that we run into very regularly with people that just bring their pets. And when you have somebody come in from Kansas City or wherever, long distance away, and has a pet with them, and they've got nowhere to take it, and you say you can't take it in the cabin.
And they did not know that ahead of time?
They claim they
That's their
overlooked it.
problem.
Yeah, but also, looking across the state, there are very few counties that don't allow pets in cabins.
Okay, so here I'm online again, I'm doing the research again, and I'm looking at this pet thing. And you can tell I'm not a person. So it's like,
You've never had a dog.
no, I have a dog and a cat or whatever it's gonna be. So I'm checking in there are, I think 15 just random checks of cabins out across the state. And it's like, there are probably about 7 of them that were, that were pet friendly. And there were the same number, if not more, maybe just the way I chose them, that were not, no pets. So that's why I wondered your reason behind the pet thing included. And it's because of requests, basically.
It is a lot of requests.
Still our choice.
Yeah.
We have just a couple cabins that are not, no pets allowed in, so that way somebody's coming up and saying, I'm allergic to it, don't have to worry about it.
So, yeah, that's an option.
So
It's
you
a
have,
lot. Yeah.
and then leave the rest
You
of it.
can make any of these rules any way you want to. The only thing that we had to change was the refund and cancellation policies to go with our merchant application. So that's where we're doing that online. We had to have those set that way in order to get approved.
And I saw that, definitely.
So yes, that is very specific when you're dealing with credit cards. But like everything else on here is just from what we had on various sheets of paper throughout.
And that's why I was wondering,
And-
the reason why, because you had a lot of requests for why can't you bring the pet, and so that's, I'm not questioning because of.
Well, then we also run into issues with those that bring service animals. So then they're having a whole nother aspect of people question, well, why are they bringing, we saw they had a dog there. Well, then you have to explain, and you can't necessarily say, I'm sorry, you have to have proof that that's a service animal. That's not always the case, because you can't do that either.
That's why I was thinking, so we had, we had to say, out of all reservations that we're doing, 50% are going, I can't bring my pet, or 40% or 10%, or where.
I would say at least, we probably have at least 20% that question it anyway.
So with the service animal, should we have that in the reservation deal where it says that you have to have papers for a service animal? I mean, so it's up front, black and white?
We looked that up before, didn't we, Travis?
Yeah,
That's Americans
there's
with
some
Disabilities.
questions on whether you can even ask for paperwork.
From what I understand, there's only two questions you can ask if somebody says their animal is a service animal. It's like, I'm trying to remember. It's like what is this animal trained to detect, and what is its response?
There's a lot of restriction on that.
And if they have an answer, they have an answer.
But yes, Dan, you can designate one
Right.
that is.
So that already just put a Band-Aid on that, right? Here we are, but we do have one.
Is it gonna be more work? And honestly, with online, I don't think so. Right now, we're sitting with reservations for this coming year. This is not, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a factor. Most everything is,
Because it's already in there and Bill has about it.
as of now it is,
Our
but once we go
policy is-
online
Right.
at our set date, then your policies change, so.
So,
But if you don't put it out there, like, it's up to them to read it,
We can
kind of
change this
thing.
policy.
Yeah, we can
This-
change
you're
it.
just-
We can
This
address
is
on our own.
stuff that needs to be
This
changed,
is just our
adjusted,
recommendation.
approved.
So I'm asking you guys, because you guys are the ones working the field. I struggle with terrible, but I have no problem if we can do it to this bin or this cabin. But that's it, and the rest is pet, no pets. Is that possibly even able to be done?
It's possible, yeah.
I know it's a pain, but that way you can also go to the people that don't want pets and say, we don't allow them in this. But obviously, we only have so many cabins, so many bins, and they're gonna be rented out so fast anyway that but it is what it is. So let's say the one's rented out with pets, what are you gonna tell the next person, for the one that wants it, and they have a pet too? We're already rented out.
Yeah, they can bring it.
And I personally, this is my opinion, but $25 does not cut it. Here, for me, but
That was just based off on other counties that I looked through, so.
I'm just saying that the cleaning and keeping up material, the bins, that's just my own opinion, but I let my pets outside, they're not inside, so I'm voting.
In my career, so working in Blackhawk County, we managed 3 cabins. They were all pet friendly, we did not charge anything extra. And the only time in 5 years that we had any damage was somebody that tied their dog up outside, not inside. They tied it up outside and it ran a circle on a chain and dug holes in the yard. That was the only time we ever had damage. And there was one time in 5 years that we had somebody complain about allergies. And I found out later from that person's sister that they were actually allergic to the oak tree that was out the front door, not the dogs.
How about noise complaints? Dogs yapping all night, any noise complaints?
It's in our rules that they can't, the quiet hours are 10:30.
I go to, when talking, I get that, it's in the rules, but, you know,
Dogs are allowed in the campgrounds
yeah,
as long as they're leashed.
but.
So we handle it the same way.
But them yapping at night, then the dogs let go with it, right? Keep somebody out at night, can't sleep, or that's not a problem.
So that
Yeah, they would have
happens
to
in
leave it
town.
alone. If they're-
I get that in town,
In the
so.
old days, in hotels, used to have smoking, non-smoking rooms.
Yep.
This was smoking, this is non-smoking, put a sign, this is pet, this is not pet. I mean, whatever, it's your thing, but.
Well, and how too, on the, if you somehow just, say you had just a couple of cabins you set aside for pet, I mean, how would you be able to even build that into your reservation system? You'd have to almost go all or nothing, wouldn't you?
It would be built into each individual cabin, and we'd probably put it right in the title of the cabin. So corn bin is pet friendly, bean bin is not pet friendly, so they can't miss it when they make the reservation.
And they didn't have it on the actual physical, it may be put a sign up there on the, in case people see,
Yeah,
whatever.
all the rules are on the door.
People see my neighbor, he's got one.
And it breaks down your pets.
Good to see you, son.
50/50.
People have different pets.
Jack, where are you at?
I think we should have at least a couple cabins that are pet
I'm
friendly.
saying over here. Okay.
And we have an option. We've got something to compare to then too.
Well, it's very easy to go 50% because we got 2 of each style cabin.
Is everybody on board with 50%?
What are you gonna charge then, more?
Yep.
I agree with that.
Who's gonna inspect for damage?
Cleaners. Right now, they're.
Or anybody
additional
will have to check
$25
out, one of you guys are gonna have to check it.
Oh, we
You more or
clean
less
it
do
between.
that.
You need to word it per dog.
Okay,
Yeah,
wait a
and
minute.
it is $25 per dog. So
$25 flat fee or $25 a night?
$25.
It was just listed as like you check the box and
Yeah, it would
it
be
was just on your
$25.
reservation.
How about my
We can
emotional
set it up
support
anyway.
goat?
I was gonna say the goats, Tom.
We're not going there.
Any pet throws you out that they can bring a cat, a dog, whatever. There's some people got pet pythons. Once you open it up to a pet, you're opening up to a bucket of worms. I don't care either way, but you're not gonna stop it at a dog.
It's never been a problem anywhere.
I don't know.
The goat fans.
It hasn't been that long ago we defined pets.
that summer?
So we have a definition of pet in the campground rules. Is that something that we insert here? Or do we get that technical?
I mean, we could define pets. Or just dogs. We could
I'd say just dogs.
But there is the therapy and support animal side of it. They don't have to just be dogs.
Let's do it as dogs and we'll deal with the rest. And hopefully the goats don't show up.
In this 25, they don't get that back if there's no damage.
No,
Okay,
that's just an
additional
added
personal.
I think $25 a night is,
Yeah, that's gonna mean a lot to people.
Okay, so if you say at $25
It's more clean.
per,
Animal. Each night.
per animal per night.
So if we, okay, so that would be, because we don't actually check them in, because they have keyless entries, so.
So when they.
Campground host is gonna know how many critters are
Yes.
around there.
Well, I think that's gonna be something we're gonna have to be clear in our campground, posting the rules that, I mean, this is per dog?
It can be
Per night.
anything, however
per
you want
night.
to set
That's
it.
significant.
Exactly. I agree 100%.
4 days,
I don't think it's-
another $100, just have their barker a little.
Yeah, but you're gonna spend half of that cleaning.
But then
well, not really though, because we wipe down every surface, we sweep every surface already.
Everything's done basically the same way, no matter how you do it.
Even if there's a little bit, everything, it's concrete and bare mattresses that have a cover on them, so it doesn't really add a lot of cleaning unless there's, a dog pees in there or something like that. And then we have the option of going after the person for damages and things like that.
Just you still have the deposit
Professional cleaning.
for regular rental.
Is the deposit refundable?
For the pet fee, it would not be.
But if there's damage, you're gonna go after the rest of the deposit, is what Mark's saying.
Well,
Right.
that is
But if there's no damage, then I'll split out $25.
Oh, we get rid of that?
that's what we're considering. That was another piece that we wanted to talk about, is getting rid of the damage deposit. Because it's a lot of, that if they're doing all of their payment online, they're paying with a credit card, and then they have to send us a check. We have to file it, hold it until after they stay, and then we have to send it back to them. It's about half the counties are still doing it that way, half the counties have dropped deposits altogether. And a big part of that is they still check a box that says if there's any damage, they will be charged for that damage. And the other side that a lot of counties use as a reason is, what does $100 cost? $100 doesn't cover anything when it comes to damages. So
It's in that second paragraph under the rental contract agreement.
if we have to go, if somebody does damage, $100 isn't gonna cover it, we're gonna have to go after them for more anyway to cover their damages. And So it doesn't, to
Well,
me.
we're gonna get rid of that, then let's move up the pet fee a little higher. No?
I think there's gonna be some money in this
That part.
I know.
And it's still, a weekend is still gonna cost them an extra $50 to send their dog for most people,
You'll be
But the
surprised.
problem is
how
that-
they-
yeah, they're gonna pay it and they're not gonna do anything.
This is the problem though, if you took that dog to a place to have it sitted for the weekend, it's gonna cost you way more than $50.
Yeah, the price range for boarding overnight is anywhere from $25 to $100 a night.
So that's where I'm saying the 25 is cheap, they'll all bring the dogs.
You're talking $25 per night.
Motel room.
Yeah, but if you sitted that dog somewhere, they pay for a motel for them, more than we pay for a motel.
Motel are 25.
Most are, I've seen 15, the most are 25 or a little bit more. And most of them have a restriction on how big they can be.
Everybody good on the 25?
No more than 2 per.
Yeah. And
But that's
I did-
25 times 2 then.
Per night, yeah, per night, 3.
Per night.
Per night, 3.
With a maximum of 2.
Kathy, you good with that?
Yeah.
Jack? Okay.
Yeah.
So we need a motion then, probably to change that, because that's new.
Well, this is all,
Or we're gonna do it all as one.
I think we can do it all as one.
Okay?
Because this is all open to discussion, nothing's in stone, it was just
So-
something we put together as a starting point.
I guess as a board member, I would like to know on both parks, which cabins are dog friendly and which ones aren't. So when I drive through, I know that they are dog friendly and they are not dog friendly.
But, so the one that is not dog friendly we could not stop somebody with a service animal.
Which we couldn't before either. But can we charge them for that?
But you are allowed to ask for paperwork. My daughter's got an emotional support dog, and to rent an apartment, she had to produce paperwork.
So, yeah.
So you wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah, emotional support animals are different than service animals a little bit. And in a living situation, then you can ask for paperwork. In a rental or entry into a building situation, there's some question marks on that. I've read on that code section quite a bit, trying to figure it out. There's a lot of variation.
Okay. Do we have anything else on that?
Oh, one of
So
the
the
other,
damage deposit we're throwing out.
yes.
That'd be my preference.
And the other big thing is reservations can be made 2 years in advance. So currently we're at 365, this will bump it to 2 years.
And we actually don't have an option on that one. That one is built into the.
So how do you change your pricing? 2 years in advance?
It would be, you could change the pricing at any date. It would just be any reservation made after this date is this price. So if somebody already made a reservation for 2 years out, and we say on January 1st, we're going to change the rate, their reservation would stay the same rate, but anybody that makes one after January 1st would be. So it's basically grandfathered in. They've already paid for it. They've got it.
So our rates went into effect when?
January 1st.
Of this year now beginning. So it just changed our rates. When are we reviewing that again?
We can do it annually, or we can do it every other year, whatever we need to do.
What did you guys used to do?
I think we have to look at it.
So if we do that annually, don't we do that like in June? Or when was that big meeting?
It was June, July.
I have to look back in the minutes.
So can you make sure that goes on our deal, that we don't forget it? I'm not saying we're gonna change it, but I think we probably ought to review it then, just to see how the economics are, and
We won't see those price increases in our camping revenue for this spring though, because those were all reserved last year for the most part.
Yeah, for most of the.
that's what I mean, we have to look at this in June, to make a change in January, because you won't see them for another year and a half after that.
But we'll also, as soon as we get out everything online, we're gonna see a big boost in our cabin revenue, and then it's gonna level back out.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna be able to reserve for that full year, where that will open up on that date. And we're working on getting a letter together to send out to everybody that's reserved in the last year to notify them of the change. And let them know where they can go to set up their accounts and everything ahead of time, so.
Okay, I don't know if we need to address this here or park rules, but I'm a little confused on the beer and alcohol.
So that's part of the state code. No keg beer allowed. The code actually says no containers over a gallon. And then when you go into alcohol, it basically states no hard alcohol. I believe it's anything over 12% alcohol is allowed. It's always,
Outside of the camper, we can't do anything about what's in their camper.
yeah. So basically how it's always been enforced in parks is as long as people are being good campers and not being disorderly, it's never been an enforced rule anywhere I've ever been. But if somebody's being disorderly, it's another rule that you have in your pocket to use to.
The park rules, I remember 1400 says no alcohol or wine drinking allowed in the park.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's a mistake.
You're trying to do that in the park when guys are out there sitting by a fireplace, I'm gonna wake you up.
Yeah, that's something that I use this summer, is in order to come and go up and talk to somebody who needs to quiet down. You know, it's something that I never wrote a citation for it, but I would explain like, hey, just so you know, there's no actual liquor is allowed, no wine is allowed. I'd like you to take it into the cabin or into the camper, one of the two. And that usually resolved the situation, whatever's going on. Because they didn't want to get that citation, because I was like, it's one that you can use in order to resolve situations without.
If we have rules, we're supposed to, yes, enforce them, but.
This rule was written in the
Yeah,
60s.
I mean.
This is a code section.
I don't
that's written a
drink,
long
never
time
have,
ago.
but yes, there's enough, not enough guys to come over and go. I mean, you would, but then you could also get disorderly conduct.
So what the general consensus that I've used, and this has been a topic of discussion with a lot of other park rangers across the state, the general consensus is as long as they're making a mixed drink, they're taking it, by mixing it, they're taking it under 12% alcohol normally. So as long as it's a mixed drink and they're not sitting there drinking straight out of the bottle, then we don't enforce that rule.
I've camped in campgrounds where you couldn't have your bottles outside.
Yeah.
You couldn't have them all lined up on the table. They had to be inside.
Yeah, and I've seen that enforced that way as well. Generally, if it's somebody that is, like I said, that's not being disorderly, it's a reason to go up and talk to somebody if you need to, but it's not something that we would normally go up and say, hey, you need to get out of the campground or however, whatever you want to say with it. It's usually something that you can use if needed.
Yeah, this code was again written in sometime in the 60s. It's never been updated. And so over the 60 years since then, like there's been
Well, we
discretion.
But yeah, we can make any changes we want to. So let's go back to the
Let's go back to the rental here and see if we get this piece of it hashed out.
So did
So
you
I went
want
through-
that listed the same on the regulations? No keg beer allowed, do you want
Yeah,
it listed
you
the
can't
same as
change
that,
Leave it.
as this
No,
policy?
we don't want keg beer for sure.
No, just leave it. That's, I have no issues with that.
Even though that one is somewhat outdated as well. Not many people in case anyone, but
So we addressed the three things you had back here, which was no deposit, no damage deposit, the pets, and cancellation policy. Is there anything else?
so the rest of the stuff is fairly similar to what we had in the past.
The other change is the refund policy. So cancellation is different than a refund policy. So that's, as it says,
But that keeps it fairly similar to what we had. Well, we gave 50% back, I guess.
You gave 50% back if the rental was pre-rented.
That's right.
So
Is this what other parks are doing?
Yeah. Because if we give a refund back, it comes out of our budget, where the revenue and expenditures are different. So you can't, it's not like you can just take the revenue and give it back to them. It's a whole different thing. Which we do have a line for refunds, but that's, like it says in here, if we're unable to provide the facility in operable condition for your date of your event, or the National Weather Service advises no travel, a full refund minus the fees will be issued. So that's why we would keep that line for refunds, just in case there is something.
So do we have a dollar amount in that refund line?
I think it's $3,000. I'm not sure. I'm not off the top of my head anyway.
Anything else?
There should be everything on that.
Everybody all right with it? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the rental contract agreement for 2023.
Approve the rental contract agreement.
Okay, I got Dan making the motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
And Greg seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion, now we got the park rules.
So this is something that we should review at least every other year. But there was a few things that I've noticed over the last year that weren't in our rules, that are in a lot of other places, and things that potentially should be in our rules. So the highlighted pieces that you see in there are things that we're looking at making an adjustment to. Add. There was one word that we removed. Yeah, these are additional pieces. So like the domestic animals, I added this rule does not apply to natural resource areas where hunting is allowed, because that's a question that I get a lot of people that say, well, why are they out there with the dog off the leash when I have to have my dog on a leash? So that's something I just added in just to cover it. And number 12, the used to say just camping. Campers must register upon arrival, maximum length of stay. The reason we added rentals into that is the last line on this page. Park officers are authorized to refuse camping and rental privileges, and to rescind any and all camping permits and reservations for cause. So that's basically saying that we have the right to kick somebody out of a cabin if they're violating the rules. But it used to say just camping, it didn't include cabins. So that's why we changed those few words. The closing time, we just added all registered campers and cabins users must or shall remain in their respected areas and remain quiet between the hours of 10:30 and 6 a.m. So I basically just lumped the quiet hours into that because our quiet hours weren't listed in our rules anywhere. And that they have to stay in their respected areas. And then I added number 15, the special restrictions, items such as bounce houses, sprinklers, splash pads, slip and slides, and swimming pools are prohibited on any property managed by a Bell-Times-Courier And that has a lot more to do with our insurance than anything. Bounce houses have become a big topic of discussion because a wind can pick them up and blow them and things like that. The slip and slides are similar. Sprinkler splash pads and swimming pools are more for water consumption and everything, and the fact that they create a mess in the campground that they don't.
Do you think there's
Yeah. Yep, it's been an issue a few times. And so a small, generally how I've run it in the past is if somebody has a little like toddler pool that's this big with that much water in it, if the kid's sitting in, it's not a big deal, but if they've got a bigger one that they put 150 gallons into and they dump it out and it creates a big mud hole, that creates a problem. So most places are just prohibiting them in the parks and in the campgrounds. We have a beach at the majority of our campgrounds. So those are the few things that I was looking at changing. We can make adjustments there any way we want.
Answer my question.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any questions?
Can we word the alcohol in different or not?
I think we could.
Yeah, so is,
It's a code section, but we can.
or it's not,
adopt it.
something like, out of vehicle. To me, it's just like, we got park room, we're supposed to, if you have a written where there's more of a gray area, you know, where,
Yeah, let me do a little research on that, and see if anybody else has worded it different, maybe talk to the county attorney. Since that is a code section, I'm not sure on changing.
What don't you like about it?
You can type how you can.
you know, where you're not supposed to have it, you know.
Yeah, the way this is reading, it's not even gonna be in the park.
You can't have a, you know, you can't have a beer or nothing in the park.
You can have a beer, you just can't have anything over 12% alcohol, so no hard liquor is the
Or
way.
A woman can't sit there and have a glass of wine out by the fire.
That's what
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah,
It depends on how much you want to enforce it to.
yeah.
And Dan, I understand where you're coming from, where the rule is a rule, this should be
That's
applied.
it.
But again, I mean, we were talking about the law enforcement side of things, we had a whole class on officer discretion. Like, there's nothing that says that we have to, you know, we have to apply that rule.
Consistency.
Unless it's.
But yeah, that's the thing, you want to be consistent in how you do it.
Because otherwise, next weekend, guys go, well, you didn't do that to my buddy last weekend.
If it isn't abused, it's fine, but if it's abused, it's here.
Right.
So do you hear?
Public intoxication is public intoxication.
About this?
About the alcohol side of it, so the main thing that it's put there for is so you don't have
That's okay.
parties,
We would need law enforcement.
people doing shots, things like that.
Take the alcohol
So you
off.
can enforce it that way. And we always say that we're promoting a family environment. So even if you have a family environment, a campsite over from your group, if they're sitting there doing shots and partying hard, that's where this rule comes into play.
That's more of a disturbing the peace
Yeah,
issue.
it could be.
Okay.
What do you do with it if you take it away from somebody?
We just don't know.
It's right past my place.
It gets dumped in a dumpster somewhere.
So far.
Dumpster diver. Okay, so we're gonna make a motion to approve these the way they stand. You're gonna check into the alcohol.
Yeah, I'll do a
which is
little
number
research and see if I can
14.
find anything. And then we'll have to post these, and we'll put a start date when they come into effect. We can just do that at the beginning of camping season.
Okay. So let's get them approved first. Kathy, go ahead.
I just have a question. So, so when the person says, okay, they're renting a camp spot. Do you think it's a copy of these, or they're just posted?
They're posted right by where they register.
Bathroom doors.
So the main reason that they're posted like that is so we can write citations off of these. If somebody is violating the rules, we can actually write a citation off of this, where if it wasn't posted anywhere in the park, according to the state code, we could not write a citation off of
Well, so my question is too, is that so when they check in,
it. For
here's
liability.
your copy of the rules, or would it,
Well,
or does that work?
Yeah, it doesn't really work at the campground. It's when they check in, they grab a envelope, the rules are posted right there.
Because the rules are there,
And the bathroom doors.
because I'm just thinking, it's like, oh, I didn't know. So that's my thinking, is that here they are.
It's part of the code that it's your job to learn, to know the rules.
Where is the rental contract? Posted the same place?
So the rental contract is when they make their reservation online.
That's the only place I'll see that.
And from, once we get online, moving forward, otherwise we mail it.
Make them sign it.
Okay,
It's signed electronically.
What?
It's signed electronically.
Yeah, I know, but make them click a button that says they agree or something.
Yeah, that's
Don't already
there.
have it.
That's there.
discussion approval for rules. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion. Are you done, Travis?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the park rules and regulations as they stand for 2023 season.
With the
With the
exception
exception
of
of
changes
number
the alcohol.
14.
That will do a little more research.
We're going to do a little more research on the alcoholic beverage and how it's stated. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the park rules and regulations as they stand, except for number 14, which we're going to do a little more research on.
Make the motion.
Dan making the motion? Second?
I'll second.
Greg second. Any further comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, now, before we go on, I think this is very important that once we hire our hosts, that we sit down with our hosts on their rules and what's expected of them, and these rules, that they're very clear, because obviously we've changed some things. If we have somebody that actually comes back, and then make sure they know that and stuff. But I want to deal with that until we have that alcohol figured out. That's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I'll do some research on it, see what the wording is, and check into the code section.
And I actually wouldn't mind being around when we meet with all the hosts and going through that with you. Okay? All right, Director's Operational Report.
Okay, so our big winter event, the Winter Funderland, is this Saturday, 2/6 at Mill Creek. We have a little bit of something for everyone. We've got ice fishing, crafts, snow painting, a lot of different things going on there. Other than that, we've had a lot of programs since we've been a staff member short with losing our naturalist. We've seen over 750 participants in the last month, or last month and a half, I guess. Mark and Sarah have both been helping out with a lot of those. Open range nights have started the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Right after this, here in an hour, we're going to attempt to make some paper, recycled paper here. That was one of the programs that was put together by Anna before she left. We are doing our second interviews for naturalists Monday night, this coming Monday. I sent an email out about this. I would really like to see 2 board members come to that. 4 and 6 are the two that are coming.
Is there any opportunity to do by Zoom?
Yeah, we could do that.
Which is what day?
Monday, the 13th. And we're gonna have them come in and actually do a program, and then there will be time for any questions. So any board members that aren't coming, if we can get 2 set up to come, if you guys have questions that you want specifically asked, we can do that. We can record and send it out to you, however we want to do it.
That's a week, so.
we can get it.
So if she does it by Zoom,
Program
can
to
still
so we can
It's of
pick
their,
up some questions.
of their choice. I know one of them is doing a program on snakes. And I'm gonna check with the other one and see what she's doing the program on. And
Snakes?
Wonder if she'll bring.
she is, bringing two actually.
I might do the other one. They don't bother me.
And she's gonna use our snake. So, she's gonna have 3 different snakes to talk about and things like that. The other one, I just told her to come up with a program of her choice. And I'll send an email out to her this week to see if she needs anything. And if I have
Kathy does it by Zoom, or can we still have 2 here?
I think so, but I'll have to check.
Okay, so if you have 2 people coming, it's like,
No, you use Zoom.
well.
I'll check. I'm gonna talk to, I'll talk to the county attorney about that rule, and I'll check with her to see what her thoughts are on that. And I'm not sure, as long as we're,
It's gonna be better.
if she's, so I think if she's just watching and not asking questions, I think that would be okay, but I'll have to confirm. As long as she's not involved in the conversation, I think it would be okay, but I'll confirm. Otherwise, the guys in the field have done some cabin floor epoxy, kind of getting those floors so we can clean them a little bit better. They had some type of sealant put on them, but it was something that collected a lot of dirt, so we've been epoxying them and making them smooth. We have had several water leaks in this last month, and one of them was just a line that pulled apart. No reason for it at all, but it pulled apart. The other 2, or one of them was a line that froze in a pit and cracked the fitting. The other one, we're not sure where it is. So we got one at Dalma, one at Dog Creek, and one at Mill Creek. The one at Mill Creek we have fixed. The one at Dalma, we know exactly what it is. It's going to be a quick fix in the spring.
It's not leaking, right?
Yeah, we've got it all shut off now. The one at Dog Creek, we don't know where it is yet. We'll have to do some testing in the spring and have Osceola Rural Water checking the meter for us as we turn things on and off and see if we can isolate it.
Nothing surfacing.
Nothing surfacing, and it wasn't in either of our pits.
But the water use it's right at like 5,000 gallons. So it's not huge
Well,
leak,
it's not
but
a huge
it's enough that I noticed when we were doing the bills that it's increased, so.
What I'm hoping is that it's in Osceola Rural Water's pit just past the meter. And that'll be the easy fix. If it's not there, it's gonna be a little more difficult to track it down. But I had them shut it off, so there's no leak happening now. Their meter pit was buried in 4 feet of snow, so they couldn't check the meter pit. They shut it off at a valve before that. So for now, everything's shut off. We've got it taken care of. But in the spring, we're gonna have to do some searching and find where that leak
And
actually
we don't know if it's north side or south side.
It is the south side.
South side.
So that line, the main issue with that line is it comes all the way from the blacktop and across the field.
Down the fence line.
So if it's leaking in that field somewhere, it might not surface. Because I would assume there's probably
Crops to
tile.
be greener.
I would assume there's probably tile out there that's gonna stop it from surfacing. So that could be an issue. But we'll figure out right away if it's in the park or in that field before the park and go from there.
Rural Water could shut it off at the takeoff and shut it off at their pit and tell them if it's in the field, right?
Yeah.
That's their problem.
I think if it's after the meter, it's our problem, which would be that whole field. But we'll figure it out in the spring when we turn things back on. I'm gonna guess that it's probably either in their meter pit or something in the park that broke. And if it's something in the park, we'll be able to find it pretty quick. Otherwise, we've got, I've been working for the last couple of months on and off, basically some Zoom calls and a lot of emails. The Little Sioux River Water Trail, that's kind of coming around here pretty soon. We're going to have some landowner meetings for anybody that wants to come talk about the water trail. It's going to be a paddle trail, certified paddle trail with the state. So we just put together a list of all the landowners that touch the river in O'Brien County, and they'll be getting a letter from the water trail committee. And then we'll actually have an open meeting at some point to discuss the water trail and what it means to be certified and everything. And then the last thing I've got is I have been assisting the assessor's office with reserve of the forest reserves in the county. That's something that's actually in the Iowa code that says conservation should be doing it. And I'm looking back, I'm not sure when they were reviewed last, but I've just, when I have a few minutes, he sent me the whole list of everyone in the county, every forest reserve parcel, and I've just been checking them and measuring them in an aerial image to make sure they fit. So, there are 81 in the county total, but 62 of them are in right here in this area. So basically what I've been doing is just checking them by an aerial, make sure they fit the size restrictions and that they're close to what they applied for acres. And then if there's anything that I have to go visit and measure, I will later on.
So what is that for?
That is for tax exemption. It's anything over 2 acres of timber that has more than 200 trees per acre is the requirement. And it can't be used for any type of income, so you can't have cattle on it. There's some restrictions that way. But it's just been something I've been looking at as I have time, and it was probably 3 or 4 months ago that the assessor asked about it and to the supervisors to have them approve conservation review. So that's all I've got for operation report.
Okay. Board member have anything else? Sarah? Mark? Okay, open up to the floor then. Mary?
Tom, you asked me about the volunteers. So if all of the board is aware that the volunteer sign-up sheet is on this back wall, it's also online on the Prairie Heritage Center website. Under the volunteer tab, there's a calendar on the bottom, and Sarah keeps that updated with these. It's working out pretty well. People just come in here and sign up whenever they can do it. So that's how that's working.
How are we doing on volunteers?
Good. Yeah. This center, this Saturday, the center will be closed because all our volunteers and staff will be at Mill Creek, but that's the exception.
Perfect. Anybody have anything else? Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn then.
So moved.
By Greg, 5:04. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, we're adjourned.
What? No.